seems like it's a quarterback or a running back off season now. The running backs, man, it's a really good market for them right now. We're going to see a lot of familiar faces in new places. I'm not going to go over all the big names, but Saquon Barkley leaving the Giants to go to the Eagles inside the division. Derrick Henry from the Titans to the Ravens. Shoot, the Raiders and Chargers will both have new running backs last year because the Raiders, they saw Josh Jacobs go to the Packers, and Austin Eckler of the Chargers, he's going to the Commanders. So there's guys walking all over the place to new teams.
Free agency has been really wild. I mean, I know we like to joke about it. I mean, it's the offseason, but look at the NFL still dominating, man. It is big news. It's always interesting, too. Like, once this football season gets going, to see all the new faces in new places, it's going to be weird.
It's all business, right? You know, it's just business, as they would say. And even Aaron Jones, starting running back for the Packers, he ended up in Minnesota. Minnesota, we talked about, I think a week or two ago, released our guy Alexander Madison from San Bernardino. So Madison, as of Thursday morning, still looking for a new home. He will find a place. I mean, I think he's only 25. Like, he's still in his prime. So for running back, so Cowboys, Giants, Texans, there's a lot of the teams being linked to Madison right now, but as of this morning, still has not signed yet. But there's a lot of good free agent running backs still available, even though a lot have already moved on to new teams. There's still a lot available. It's been a crazy start to the NFL free agency period.
Yes, it has. First quarterbacks, now running backs.
Yeah, shout out to Bobby Wagner, Colony High School, Ontario guy. He's going to the Commanders, longtime Seahawk, played for the Rams. He's going to be in Washington. And our guy Joe Flacco, who the comeback player of the year, unbelievable bounce back year for Flacco. He's going to the Indianapolis Colts because he kind of revived his career at 39 years old.
Right, and hey, you never know. The rookie, well, I mean, it'll be his second year, Anthony Richardson. I mean, he was hurt last year, so you never know. Flacco might get right back in there, and I mean, he's shown he can still play.
Yeah, great insurance policy, right? Just in case. A veteran guy who's proven he could do it and proven he could, he did it last year. So he did it recently. So that's a good insurance policy for the Colts. So it's just been crazy, this free agency period. I'm sure we'll still see more moves being made into next week as teams try to shore up their roster as much as they can before the NFL draft. Because once you hit the draft, you're like, okay, what are our needs? Do we have a running back now? Do we have a quarterback now? Do we need receiver help? Where do we need to fill in these gaps? And that's where the draft comes into play, which will be at the end of April in about a month, about 5-6 weeks from now.
Yeah, that's wild.
So it's coming up. All right, Patrick, I hate to spill into politics, but this is just too juicy, and it's just kind of hilarious. I saw Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback for the New York Jets. I guess he's a potential vice presidential candidate for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We saw him do Jeopardy. He does we did with the dark room. Like, he's just different, right? Can we all agree he's just different? But when I saw his name come up on the short list to be a vice presidential candidate, I'm like, oh, okay, hold on. I love sports as much as the next guy, but even my favorite players, I don't want them telling me about politics. So it's out there that he might be, going into government, going into politics. And can you imagine Vice President Rodgers?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Jets fan, I mean, you have to be like, can you just focus on football, dude? You're like focusing on everything but football. First, he found out while he's doing his ayahuasca or whatever the hell that stuff is.
Yeah.
While he's doing all his big mental journey. One thing should be noted. I know RFK is the one who said something about it, so Aaron wasn't saying anything about it. But nevertheless, it sure seems very attention-grabbing, distracting, if you will. I mean, it sounds like a joke, which means that he's just doing it for attention.
Maybe. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, trying to be the host of Jeopardy, the TV show, is one thing. Trying to run the country is something else. And I love Aaron Rodgers as much as the next guy, but again, I don't need an athlete telling me, how to run the country. So.
No, I mean, RFK is like, hey, either Aaron Rodgers or Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So wild times that we're living in. All right, let's talk some NBA basketball. Man, I feel bad for our guy Kawhi Leonard, the pride of King High School out of Riverside. He was actually having a really good year and was playing a lot of games for the Clippers this year, but the other night, in a bad loss to Minnesota, he actually left the game early now with back spasms. And Patrick, he's gone through it all: ACL, meniscus, he's leg injuries. He's had it all, but this is new. Back and listen, I haven't had a major back injury, but they're difficult and they're hard to come back from. And now he's having back spasms, and the Clippers really need him because the Clippers, we've talked about this numerous times. They look legit. They look like they could be an actual title contender, but not if Kawhi is not going to be on the floor.
Got to have Kawhi on the floor. I mean, I know if it is going to be quote unquote an injury, I think this is the best possible outcome. I know back spasms are bad, but at least it's not, a strained back or a disc or anything like that. I believe he could come back from this. It is bad. Don't get me wrong. But I think spasms are something that kind of just scary, right?
Yeah.
It's happening. You don't know how to control it. I believe he will be able to come back from this. If it were a broken bone or a fracture or something like that, I would spell disaster. I'm not at the disaster quotient yet.
You heard it here first. Patrick says, do not hit the panic button yet. Oh. But yeah, you're right. I mean, he might miss, maybe a game or two. It might be day to day at this point with him. But it's Kawhi Leonard. So it's like, you don't get a lot of information about him. He doesn't speak to the media. So you really just don't know what's going on. He just kind of like disappears for a while. So hopefully he is okay because, I mean, he won a title with San Antonio. He literally carried Toronto to an NBA championship. So he is capable, but he's got to be healthy. And I'm hoping he's going to be healthy for this stretch run for the Clippers. We're going to find out real quick.
Gotta have him.
All right, Lakers. Listen, I'm just reporting the news, all right? They lost to my Kings again. The Kings swept the season series. The Kings went 4-0 against the Lakers this year. And as the Lakers still try to figure things out, my guy Domantas Sabonis, Patrick, you'll love this stat. Sabonis, a big man, 10-0 all time against Lakers big man Anthony Davis. So when they go head to head, Sabonis dominates him. Yet Anthony Davis is the first team All-NBA. Anthony Davis is the All-Star, but he's got to play like this or play like that. It can't be LeBron every night. Anthony Davis needs to step up. D'Angelo Russell's been playing better, but these guys need to step up because the Lakers really right now, they're the number 10 seed in the West. They're barely hanging on to a spot in the play-in tournament.
It just seems like Sabonis has his number. Sometimes when it comes down to it, some guys just have your number. And for some reason, 10-0 is a pretty strong stat. He has his number. Now, the Lakers, I feel differently than the Clippers. Hit the panic button. It is time to hit the panic button, Beth.
They got talent. Don't get me wrong. They do have talent. They just can't seem to figure it out. And it's not like Sacramento's even the top team in the West. I think they're bouncing around number 5, number 6. But, Minnesota, Denver, Oklahoma City, even the Clippers. I mean, those are the top teams in the West right now. But right now, the Lakers just trying to stay in the play-in tournament. And but yeah, I guess you never know, right? You just get a spot at the dance, and then maybe you go all the way. But the Lakers haven't really shown signs to be optimistic, is what I'm trying to say. Those
other teams you mentioned, they're more of a team to where the Lakers just seem like they have some good players.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they got some good players. They got talent, right? But it doesn't translate on the floor. They're not coming together as a team right now.
Like Hoosiers, put in your hand, team.
Yeah, there you go. And finally, let's hit a little more basketball because it is March Madness. You would say it officially starts this week because all of these conference basketball tournaments, if you win your conference tournament, you get that automatic ticket to the NCAA tournament. I saw the other night St. Mary's beat Gonzaga, so Gonzaga is going to get in. The Zags are going to get in the tournament, but they don't have that automatic spot, Patrick. St. Mary's won the conference.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. St. Mary's has had to have been waiting for this for a long time, Pep. They got to be happy as hell.
Gonzaga is still really good. I would not want to see them in the tournament, but they did not win their conference tournament, so which is kind of interesting in the West Coast Conference. But I do want to give a quick shout out to our local teams, California Baptist and UC Riverside. UCR's in the Big West Conference. CBU is in the Western Athletic Conference, the WAC. Both of them winning last night in Las Vegas in their respective tournaments. So they advanced to the quarterfinals in their conference tournament. Neither team has ever made it to the Big Dance. CBU recently became eligible as a Division I program. So there's a chance the Lancers and Highlanders are taking one step closer to maybe punching their ticket.
Congrats to them. Also, quick shout out to my Washington State Cougars. They're also going to be getting into the dance. Let the madness begin, Pep. I can't wait. It's going to be really exciting. And for the first time, I don't care what anybody says, we're going to be watching the women just as much as we're watching the men. Something has happened, Pep. That's why we got our man, Pep, to keep an eye on all this stuff. Pep, tell me how to get your stuff.
Get my stuff on Inland Sports, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We got the Inland Sports YouTube channel. Patrick, do not hit the panic button. Just visit Inland Sports.
Rock, man.